Look, I hope everybody had a good holiday. I don't think anybody had a better holiday, although it came a little late because it came on New Year's Day, than Justin Fields in the college football playoff. 22 for 28, 385 yards, and 6 touchdowns. One of the greatest performances in All-State Sugar Bowl history, and certainly one of the greatest performances in the small 7-year history of the college football playoff against the guy that all of the experts said had separated from Fields to such a large degree that you just have to go Trevor Lawrence, huge drop-off, all the other guys. Key, I know the Jets got the number 2 overall pick, but let me ask you a bigger macro question. If we're willing to downgrade Justin Fields, or any quarterback, but Fields particularly, because he has a bad game against Northwestern with like 23 of his guys missing in the Big Ten title game, if we're willing to just say one bad game knocks you down, if you have one splendid game and you do it against top-notch competition, and the opposite number, the other quarterback, is the dude that everybody says is better than you, is it time to start zooming Justin Fields right back up the way that we kind of knocked him down?
Man, it's the reality of it is when you come in like Trevor Lawrence did his freshman year and you beat Alabama, you ride that high.
Crush him.
And you continue to play well, that's what everybody's going to stay with, no matter what. Justin Fields transfers from Georgia because your guy, Jake Fromm, beats him out, allegedly, and he has to go to Ohio State to prove himself because he ran from competition, as people would try and say. He goes to Ohio State. He has him in the college football playoffs 2 years in a row, this time in the national championship.
Avenging his only loss.
Avenging his only loss on a bad throw that wasn't his fault, but it was the receiver's fault for stopping as he pulled the trigger. You have to climb a large mountain to get to the point where people will push you over the guy that they've been praising for 3 years because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. So even though he had one bad game, maybe 2 stinkers along the way, they won the games, he didn't look sharp, you can pull games from a lot of athletes. In basketball, I'm sure you can find games that JWill didn't shoot well. Football, you can find games where I didn't run routes well. And he dropped the ball, but, you know. And so it happens. And so he wins this game in a fashion. There was 6 touchdowns, amazing throws, handoffs, long, deep balls. They questioned his accuracy, pinpoint accuracy. Now, let's see what he does on January 11th. If he beats Alabama, all that sort of stuff. Doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is the guy who's pulling the trigger. Joe Douglas, Eric Bieniemy, Rick Smith, Louis Riddick. Those are the people that it matters to. It doesn't matter to the media and the naysayers. It matters to the ones that are breaking down the film and assessing his ability in who he is. I've always thought, and I've said it from day one, when we had Greg McElroy on here, and he was matter of fact, Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Rawr! I'm like, man, just slow down. Every year we have a guy who's the guy, and then somebody comes out of nowhere and becomes the guy. Joe Burrow just did it last year. Kyler Murray did it the year before. Baker Mayfield did it the year. It happens every year. Josh Rosen was the chosen one, and then all of a sudden, So just slow it down. Let the process take course. You don't start evaluating these guys till their season is over with. They're going to break them down, look at them live in throwing sessions, talk to them personally at the combine, all of those sort of things before you start to say if he's the number 1 guy, the number 2 guy, or the number 3 guy, 4 or 5, or a 3rd rounder. That's the way it goes.
Key, can I tell you what I love about Justin Fields? His overall leadership is something that continues to really impress me. And look, I think the on-the-field stuff will take care of itself. Obviously, that game against Clemson was an incredible, incredible game. But the first day we launched our show, he came on our show and said that he wanted to play football. And Key, you and I did not hold back because at the time, I know I wasn't totally sure about seeing football or not this year. You were adamantly against it. And we asked him some really difficult and challenging questions. That man was matter of fact about what he had wanted. And it wasn't to come back to ultimately just improve his draft status. He wanted to come back because he felt they had a legitimate chance and he could take his team to win a national championship. You fast forward X amount of months. This guy finds himself in the national championship game against Alabama after taking a hit, Key, that after I called you, because I didn't think my man was going to get up from that hit from number 47.
Well, you called me because you felt the pain.
Yeah, I felt the pain.
As
I was
a soft basketball player.
I'm like, that's why I play basketball. You can't hit me like that. I would not get up. But my thing is just watching him play. Yes, I think there's jockey room up top. But I will say this: if Zubin, you made the mention of, if we can knock him down because of one poor performance against Northwestern, but then we can build him up because of a great performance against Clemson, then I think we have to do the same for Trevor Lawrence. I think that same kind of way of thinking is applicable. Trevor Lawrence is 34-2 at Clemson. 34-2. He's thrown for over 10,000 yards, 90 TDs, and only 17 receptions. Like, you can't really second guess those numbers because of a loss to Ohio State as well.
Well, but I think when you start to look at Trevor Lawrence, you're looking at the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the LSUs, how he played against the big boys in those games. Statistically, the numbers are the numbers. Statistically, you can pile numbers up depending on when you're getting those numbers, but throughout the course of a game, what does it look like? He makes big boy throws. He stands in there. There's no question about it. He is a dominant college football quarterback that could potentially have success in the National Football League. My whole thing is, I've seen this movie a million times where, this guy's a can't miss it. He's a did. Nobody's close. And then all of a sudden you look up and you go, Josh Allen is the top quarterback in his draft class. Or you look up and you go, the last time a first-round overall pick at quarterback won a Super Bowl, it was a Manning. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I think it was Troy Aikman. Mm. In between all those other guys, nothing. So you got to just slow down a little bit, big fella. That's all. Just slow it down.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.